Starting June the 1st this year, the taxes you pay when you buy property in Alicante, Valencia or Castellón will be less. But that's just the headline. In the last few years, this region has done things that make this region one of the most attractive ones in Spain in order to either buy property or, if you already have one, move here. Also, why the Spanish tax system when it comes to inheritance is very interesting, and also there's been a reduce on the wealth tax. We will cover all that on this video. My name is Daniel Bertomeu and I work alongside my father, Juan Bertomeu, a lawyer with offices in Moraira and Denia with over 30 years of experience. We deal generally with international clients. That's the reason why if you see a tower behind me, I'm in Berlin right now, but well, I hope you enjoyed the video. First reason, property taxes. As I said, from June the 1st this year, buying a property in Alicante, Valencia or Castellón will be literally cheaper. Basically, the ITP or property transfer tax drops from 10% to 9%. So if you're buying a 500,000 euro property, you would be saving 5,000 euros compared to May 2026. Now, this property tax reduction doesn't apply to every kind of property or to every kind of situation. So just to give you the basics, condition 1, it only applies to resale houses. If you're buying a brand new house directly from a developer, what we call obra nueva, you don't pay ITP at all. You pay VAT plus a different tax. So the headline 10% to 9% cut is for the resale properties only. Condition 2, it only applies to houses up to 1 million euros, and this is where most articles get it wrong. The new 9% rate kicks in when the property is worth less than 1 million euros, but the moment the property crosses that line, the entire purchase is taxed at 11%, not just the amount above the million, the whole thing. In our experience handling property purchase transactions every week, as I said, we're not real estate agents, but independent conveyancing solicitors and tax advisors. The clearest winners, the ones that will benefit the most from these tax reductions, will be apartments all over the coast, especially in South Alicante and Castellon, because here the prices are lower than in North Costa Blanca, where we have our offices, and also detached villas that are not in prime locations. Now, what are prime locations? For example, in Moraira, Javia, Altea, it's very common to see properties that are worth 1 million euros. These houses won't benefit from this tax reduction. Before moving to the second point, I want to warn you about something that you could easily be tempted to, but I really warn you not to do it. Let's say that you want to buy a property that is worth 1,200,000 euros and you agree with the sellers that the official price will be 900,000 euros. Why? This is not recommended, not only because it's illegal, of course, but because Spanish tax authorities use a benchmark called Valor de Referencia Catastral, where either if you bought a property for that price and it's official and it's in the notary's deed and everything, they can come and say, no. The real value of that is 1,200,000 euros. And of course, then they will regularize your situation. You have to pay 11%, and on top of that, you will have to pay a financial penalty. So it's not worth it. Reason 2, inheritance. Really, in my opinion, this is the biggest reason why it's very worth to buy a property in Alicante, Valencia and Castellón, or either move here, especially if you are above 60-year-old and if you have children or grandchildren. Let me explain you why. Since 2023, when you inherit a house in Alicante, Valencia or Castellón from your closest family, this is parents, children, grandparents, grandchildren, your spouse, you receive a 99% reduction on the inheritance tax. Let me show you what that means with real numbers. Take a house worth 500,000 euros, the same kind of mid-range property we talked about a moment ago. Your father leaves it to you. Before the rule, the inheritance tax on that property would land around 81,000 euros. For many families, that was enough to force them to sell the very house the parent had spent a lifetime building. After the 9% reduction that it applies, you pay roughly 810 euros. And the biggest news is that from June the 1st, 2026, the door opens to a second group. Brothers and sisters, uncles and aunts, nephews and nieces. If they are related to you by blood, not by marriage, from June the 1st this year, they receive a 25% reduction on the inheritance tax. But 1 year from that, June the 1st, 2027, the reduction climbs to 50%. Let's continue with the previous example so you understand it perfectly. Same $500,000 property, but this time different scenario. Your brother inherits it, or your aunt or your niece. Without the new bonification, the inheritance tax sits at roughly €172,000. From June 2026, with the 25% reduction, it drops to around €129,000. And from June 2027, with the full 50%, it drops to roughly €86,000. Two more important things about this is that this bonification applies also to donations. For example, a parent gifting their property to their child. So the same, if it's a child, it's 99%. If it's a brother, it's 25%. And in the future, it's 50%. And a very common question that I really have good news for you is that this applies either you are tax residents or non-residents. This was a matter of discussion between Spain and the European Union, but the European Union decided that the same bonifications or tax advantages should apply either you are a resident or a non-tax resident, so you can enjoy it whatever is your situation. And the third reason is the wealth tax reduction. Now, if you're from America or the Netherlands or even Germany, you might find this very, very weird to have a tax on your wealth just by owning your assets. This actually exists in Spain. How does it work? Well, I have a full video, but I will just give you the very, very basic information. Spanish tax residents pay wealth tax based on their total wealth value. Houses that are in Spain or outside of Spain, bank accounts, any kind of asset that they can have. And Spanish non-tax residents only pay wealth tax on the assets they own in Spain. It's usually the property they have and maybe some money in the bank account. Now, something just changed that makes it very convenient for many people to become a tax resident in Alicante, Valencia or Castellón. What did just happen? Until the previous year, the exempt minimum in Valencia, Alicante or Castellón was €500,000 per person. Anything above that was taxed at a progressive rates from 0.25% up to 3.5%. From the 2025 wealth tax return, the one filed in 2026, that exempt minimum doubled to €1,000,000 per person. But how this rule reaches you depends on your residency status, and most articles get this wrong. If you're a Spanish resident of the Valencia region, the €1,000,000 minimum applies automatically. For a married couple, that's €2 million combined. On top of that, your primary house in Spain is exempt up to €300,000 per owner. A couple owning their house 50-50 shelters another €600,000. In practical terms, a married couple living in Alicante with a €600,000 house and €2 million in other patrimony pays zero wealth tax in Valencia under the new regime. Now, what happens if you are a non-resident? The default is different. Non-residents pay under the state regime with an exempt minimum of €700,000, not €1,000,000. But there's a route most foreign owners don't know about. Since 2021, non-residents have the right to actively elect the rules of the region where the majority of their Spanish assets are located. If most of your Spanish patrimony is in Alicante, Valencia or Castellón, you can opt into the Valencian regime, the €1,000,000 exempt minimum, the Valencian tariff, the whole package. There's one more thing about the Spanish wealth tax that is worth mentioning. If you heard what I just said about the inheritance tax and how convenient it can be for non-residents or residents, now with this wealth tax many people can think, I would like to move to Spain, but even if I don't have a large income, my wealth is big because I don't know, my husband passed away, for example, and there's a shelter system designed for very specific type of individual. Let me explain you how it works. It's called the 60% rule, and basically this rule caps your combined wealth tax plus income tax at 60% of your taxable income. Anything beyond that cap automatically reduces your wealth tax by up to 80% of what it would be otherwise be. Honestly, it took me a long time to understand what I just explained to you. So I will be giving a basic example, and in the future I will make a specific video because I like everyone to understand this. Of course, my job as a solicitor and tax advisor is to help you with property purchase transactions, taxes for non-residents, a Spanish will, but I don't know, I really feel satisfactory when making these things. So if you're enjoying the video, I would invite you to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, follow me also on Instagram and TikTok. And now let's go with the example. A widowed client of ours, resident in Alicante, around 3 million euros in patrimony accumulated over a lifetime, paid off house, savings, some investments. Her annual income from her late husband's pension is around 25,000 euros. Without the shield, her wealth tax bill alone would eat most of that pension every year. With the shield correctly applied, that bill drops by roughly 80%. Same patrimony, same income, completely different outcome. Now, not everything could be good news. Spain released a couple of years ago a new tax called Solidarity Fortune Tax that applies for wealth that exceeds 3 million euros. Now, it's true that I have read that many individuals are avoiding paying this tax because some kind of bug, but my honest opinion is that if your wealth is up to 3 million euros, it's very convenient to either buy a property or buy a property and move to Spain. If it's above 3 million euros, well, you just have to get a good tax advisor. It can be me or it can be any other, and then do the numbers, and if it's the best option for you, then you can move here. Now, I'd say that taxes in Spain are relatively high, but now that I'm getting to know a lot of foreign clients, I'd say that taxes are high all across Europe. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to buy a property in Alicante province, Valencia, as I said, our offices are in Moraira and Denia. I forgot mentioning something that is very interesting, and it would make you avoid paying the wealth tax, and it's the Beckham law, but it only applies for workers and it has very strict conditions. So I made a full guide on it. You can see it here, and I will be preparing more videos in the future. You'll see how to contact us on the screen, and also check the comment section. And well, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you soon. Hasta luego.